from hauntedflower.com and hauntedflowerreviews.com, and today I've got a bunch of seasons to review. We've got Pawn Stars Volume 4, American Pickers Volume 3, Burn Notice Season 5, and White Collar Season 3. Pawn Stars Volume 4 has all of our favorite guys down at the pawn shop in Vegas again. It has 16 episodes and a running time of almost 6 hours on 2 discs. There are no special features, but there's a lot of great episodes, and I just get addicted to this show. I really enjoy it. You just see a lot of cool stuff that you never knew was out there or existed, and it's just amazing. I love it when they bring in experts. I love it when they refinish something to be able to sell it later. And in the meantime, they have a lot of fun character interactions here, particularly with Chum Lee this season. Oh my gosh. There's a sequence where he's studying really hard to be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There's a sequence where he decides he knows everything about this one particular gadget, and just to see if he can fix it, they buy it, and that's a really funny episode, seeing him try to exert an expertise and seeing how that goes. It's fun seeing what types of things they're interested in and their different methods for haggling. You know, the head of the shop is usually really fair, and he's nice to people, and he's really congenial and charismatic, and his son is kind of a straight-faced jerk at sometimes, but he really likes to drive the big motorcycles and the cars and whatnot. And, of course, Chum Lee is like the village idiot of the shop. And then the old man is the one who comes in and claims to have all the money, but he gets really excited over things like little electric cars. They have an opportunity to look at like a dragster and a Colonel Sanders suit and different documents that may have been written by or signed by different presidents or other historical figures. There's some really cool stuff. There's like a Schwinn bike, and this guy who comes in with these amazing display things that you would put on horses for parades. It's crazy shiny stuff. There's Houdini's handcuffs. Of course, plenty of guns and different things. There's like a miniature cannon. It's such a cool show. I love seeing the stuff that they come up with. Really great. American Pickers Volume 3 is a lot of more of the same from American Pickers. As you can see on the cover here, they're standing with this refrigerator that has cowhide on it. And this episode was really cool because while that cowhide was not original to the piece, because it was so unique, it ended up increasing the perceived value. What still puzzles me about this show is that all of it is about perceived value. They might come in and buy a Coca-Cola sign and say, okay, I bought this for 25 bucks, but I'm going to sell it for 50, so I profited 25 bucks. Well, only if you sold it for that price, which still stumps me to this day. Why, this is worth this. It's only worth this if you have a buyer for it. They have a lot of comedic bits with their secretary back home. Mike and Frank are always on the road, driving around in their van, being like a comedic duo. She gives them leads, and sometimes they take them and sometimes they don't, and they often give her a hard time about whether to give her a raise or other random stuff. A lot of this is just kind of added in, totally manipulated, whatever stuff, but they're trying to do it to make you like the characters and enjoy them going on the ride, as well as the educational experience you get from seeing all these things that they find and these all interesting people. Like there's a hippie who made all this money in this business and has this huge property full of buildings. There's an old man who basically has a car lot out in the woods with a bunch of different stuff. And then there's like there's a man who like built his own little town, like built a little church and all these different things. It's kind of amazing what people do with their properties and the things they hold on to and collect. There's a fellow with like 10 storage units, one of which has a jacuzzi so that he can go and relax once in a while and just look at his stuff. So you do get to see an interesting crossroads of America, majority of which is just across the Midwest and finding old, interesting things. This volume has 8 episodes on 2 discs and a running time of a little over 5.5 hours. Next, we have Burn Notice Season 5. This has 4 discs, which contain 18 episodes. And where we left off, Michael Weston, who is played by Jeffrey Donovan, had just been reinstated into the CIA. He has a new handler, and handler/partner. He's going on missions again. He's still with his girlfriend, Fiona, who is played by Gabrielle Anwar. And he hangs out with, of course, his buddy Sam Axe, who's played by Bruce Campbell, and his mother is on the show, of course, and played by Madeline Weston, and his friend Jesse, whom he burned last season, who is played by Kobe Bell. While his crew is initially not supposed to help him with CIA stuff, eventually everyone helps out Michael Weston and they go on missions together, because when he's at the CIA, he says, well, wait, my group could do this really good, blah, blah, blah. Now that he's put his business to bed of who burned him and all the stuff that happened through the first 4 seasons, or does he? A new conflict, of course, has to arise because he ends up being framed for someone's murder, and by the end of the season, Fiona is actually the one with the noose around her neck, as she has been framed for a major crime that could put her in jail for the rest of her life, and Michael Weston is kind of being ordered around like a puppet on a string by a major bad guy to do what he wants to avoid her going to jail, and she has to make a decision about what she wants to do for the good of everyone. And that's where that season ends. For these special features, there is an extended episode for Army of One. There are deleted scenes. And there's a whole featurette on the villains of Burn Notice from season 1 to now. And talking about the differences, who was really cool and who's really conniving and smart. And the villain who kind of had a crush on Michael Weston, which was odd. There's also a gag reel and there's commentary on the episode Failsafe. So, Burn Notice. I gotta say, Miami always looks good, and I feel like they're never really in danger as long as they can go to the beach and dress in beautiful outfits. Finally, we have White Collar Season 3, that is led by Matt Bomer and Tim DeKay as the duo who are trying to solve white-collar crimes. This is another highly original set featuring this man in a suit straightening his tie. We have 4 discs, 16 episodes. That's a pretty short season. We've got Neil Caffrey again, who was, you know, this big-time criminal, really good at forgeries and whatnot, and he teams up with FBI agent Peter Burke, and they solve crimes together, yay. At the end of season 2, Neil came across this treasure trove of stuff. This big room that had all this really old, awesome, valuable stuff in it, and you just were kind of left wondering, what's he gonna do now? Well, it turns out Mozzie is behind it all, who is played by Willie Garson, and they spend the beginning of the season trying to figure out, what are we going to do with this? Are we going to try and get away? And they kind of immediately fall back into the pattern of case episode, you know, we have to work together. So they don't really go anywhere. Nothing changes. They find reasons for them to fall into the same pattern and formula. Tiffany Thiessen returns as Elizabeth Burke, Peter's wife, and she comes in once in a while with her art knowledge expertise to give pointers and be smart. The arc for this season seems to eventually lead towards, has Neil done enough to where he can finally be free? Unfortunately, there's a higher-up FBI guy played by Beau Bridges who comes in and is pretty and messes things up for them. And after a lot of people give statements about Neil and recommend his release, it becomes clear that Beau Bridges might not let him go after all, and so Peter and Neil might have to make a decision for the best outcome for Neil's future. Those are my reviews for these seasons. I hope you enjoyed them. I really think that the best is still Pawn Stars. I am addicted to that show and I love it. Thank you for watching my review, and I hope you'll join me next time. Bye-bye!
If you like this review, go to my site at hauntedflowerreviews.com. I also have a podcast on iTunes. Please leave me ratings and comments. Also, we have a store, hauntedflower.com, where you can find the best online apparel and accessories from movies, TV shows, anime, and more. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/hauntedflower, and that's where we have all of our contests too, so you can win free stuff. Go to indiemojo.com if you live in Indianapolis, and you can find out how to go to free movies.